This is taken from the website. It says Grotus is a 4-piece heavy music band from San Francisco. Even the website calls them a heavy music band. What the does that mean?
I think that's kind of fair. They are heavy.
Yes.
It is the most broad general term you could throw.
Yeah, and they're also technically a music band. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Ux. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my plaid-clad co-host, Alexander Volts. Say hello.
Puppeteered by Jim Henson. Yeah, I bet y'all didn't know that. Still alive.
Still alive. This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole discography per episode. And today, we'll be discussing every album by
Grotus, which I like doing after fetus, because if you say feed it, well, although in time... podcast time, it'll be some time between the two, but for me, relatively short. So you got like Fotis and Grotus.
Grotus, Fetus, Grötüs.
Yeah.
Grotus.
Is this a Mike pick?
This is a Mike pick.
I'm surprised you picked this band.
Yeah, I've been wanting to cover this band. They've been on my radar as a thing that I wanted to talk about since the beginning of the podcast, but always just like, one day. And then, one episode 191.
Today is the day.
Finally, but not that band just yet. One day. Tom would love us to cover that band, I bet.
I would too. This out of my love of Mastodon. So
and men named Steve Austin.
And of course, men named Steve Austin.
Hell yeah. But today, Grotus. Do you know the Grotus at all?
I didn't know them before you put this on me, and I heard the Caius vocals, and I was like, I'm surprised Mike likes this.
Caius vocals, indeed. Check out that episode. I heard about this album. I think the same way most people who've heard about them have heard about them from Mike Patton. Like praising them like crazy in the early 90s. Like
I feel like you've talked about them on other episodes.
I absolutely have.
Yeah.
It was a lot. He praised them, but I remember seeing one interview from like, it was gotta be 92 or 93. It was after Angel Dust came out, where it might've been the Sandwich interview. There's a infamous interview. I don't know if it's infamous, but it's a very known interview of him in that era with super long sideburns eating a sandwich. And I think it was that interview where they asked him what current bands he was into, and he threw out Grotus. And I think he took them on tour with Mr. Bungle at some point. So they're like this band associated with them. And I heard two of these albums, but I only really listened to one of them a lot. And yeah, it's a neat little band. It's a cool little style. How do you feel about the band?
I like them.
Yeah.
I like them. Listen to them a little bit in the desert. Nice music. Well, not nice music, but a good soundtrack for the desert.
Oh, yeah. Totally desert music. I get that completely. They have, so the very short discography, short lifespan, only 3 albums, all in the 90s. And they got 3 distinct personalities. Each album is pretty damn different. You always know it's them. They have the highest style vocals and lots and lots of samples. But that's it. It's like those 2 main things kind of signify that it's Grotus.
I like their use of samples. It never I'm never like, oh, that's like a hip hop sample or like a trip hop sample. It's this Grotus.
It's Grotus. So there's 2 main like characteristics that they're sampling. One, it's like a really fat mix with a ton of different little, let's just call them cool sounds. A lot of percussive sounds, a lot of chunky industrial sounds. And then the other one is tons and tons of old TV samples.
Yes.
People talking on TV, old TV shows, news broadcasts, lots of disdain for television. It sounds like this band has.
Sounds like disdain for the world.
Yeah. But it's so funny. Like if you go on their Wikipedia, their band photo looks like the fucking Bare Naked Ladies or something. They just does not look like it's this band.
They do look like adult contemporary rock band.
Yeah,
just looking at their photos.
Yeah, like fucking Live or some other shitty band like that. But yeah, Live has one good song, but I would call them shitty. But
shout out to Filter for recording "Hey Man, Nice Shot," and then doing a complete 180 and recording Do you want to take my picture?
I wish I knew more of that band.
I showed you one day. I forget what episode we did. I was like, same band. And you're like, no fucking way.
I remember completely, and fucking insane.
Nuts.
Yes.
Anyways.
But yeah, so they have 3 albums, 3 distinct personalities, even though the recurring thing is the samples. And singer's voice, Lars Fox. Killer name. But I think we got the same lineup from beginning to end.
Yes.
We got, Lars Fox on vocals, percussion, and samples, of course. Adam Tanner on guitar, keyboards, 6-string bass, and samples as well. And John Carson on bass, keyboard, sampler, Bruce Boyd, drums, and turntables.
I need to look up live footage of this band.
I've seen one old live video, and it's cool. It's cool. The singer, I mean, there's a lot of things about this band that reek of 90s.
And like the best way, though.
I think in a lot of great ways. Even the way he moves on stage is super 90s. Like the way he headbangs is super 90s. Which
does he hold the microphone and
does a lot of that.
For some reason, I just knew it.
Yeah, right? Dude, I'm telling you, it's the 90s head bob. But otherwise, a pretty fucking interesting band. And I'm surprised they don't. I'm sure they have a cult following, but I'm surprised they don't have. I haven't encountered them more. Like, I'm surprised you haven't heard of them.
Yeah, it's a hard band to market because it's not quite industrial.
Yeah,
it's not quite sludge metal.
Nope,
it's not quite psychedelic.
Yep.
And I would even hesitate to say it's a stew of all those things because it's not. So I kind of get that. Like it's hard to market to, but as someone who likes when rock bands venture into like Middle Eastern sounds, checked a lot of boxes for me.
There's a lot of Eastern stuff in one album particularly, but overall, if I had to give, even this is a generalized thing, but like industrial groove metal is kind of like how I would probably describe it.
But
even then, the vocals don't feel like that. They're like more hard rock 90s vocals over industrial groove metal. It's a very interesting style. It's a very cool style.
I think if you're a fan of like Mr. Bungle or like the Melvins, or I brought it up earlier, I think like Fetus fans, you could this is an easy sell to people who listen to those types of bands.
As someone who had heard this band for years and years and years and just recently heard Fetus, I didn't realize there'd be this many overlaps until like deep into this episode. I was like, wow, I was not expecting the Fetus connection. Like it didn't register to me at all. I mean, late.
I wish I had a time machine and we could have done like Fetus earlier, because really, even though that was a intense listen, like he really impacted a lot of different bands.
Oh, absolutely. I would be very surprised if Fetus was not an influence on these guys, but there's no like direct connection. Like there's no degrees of Kevin Bacon that's anywhere close. But we have some notes here from our history guy, Tom Osman, who you should all go support and follow. And it's all taken from Alternative Tentacles website because they were on Alternative Tentacles. Check out our Dead Kennedys episode. I can't think of any other bands that were on Alternative Tentacles at the top of my head.
I'm surprised. Well, Wesley Willis was.
Was he?
He was.
We are not doing an episode on Wesley Willis.
Why not?
Because it's the same song for all the albums.
What's the
rock? What is it over London? Rock on Chicago?
Rock over. Yeah, something. Rock over something. Rock under. I don't know. Ocean Spray. Taste the Wave. Napa. The Potts Store.
I whoop Batman's ass.
I whoop Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man, Batman. They're all getting ass whoopings.
Goddamn. R.I.P. But this is taken from the website. It says Grotus is a 4-piece heavy music band from San Francisco. So they're from San Francisco. Even the website calls them a heavy music band. What the fuck does that mean?
I think that's kind of fair. They are heavy.
Yes.
It is the most broad general term you could throw.
Yeah, and they're also technically a music band, but most bands are. Their sound incorporates lots of drums, 2 bass players, throaty vocals, guitar, and tons of sampled sounds of everything from yodeling, pygmy trios to cartoon music to power tools. Get ready for the power tools, folks. I hope you enjoyed the Fetus episode. Lyrical themes include steroids and cows, drugs and people, humans and nature, war as entertainment, Zen, cosmetic surgery, cancer, environmental destruction, radical history, and so forth. Performances include projected video, huge volume, hair, sweat, Star Trek bits, smoke, and a healthy dose of Spinal Tap. I didn't realize this website was so animated with their bios.
That makes sense for something ran by Jello.
Yeah, I'm relieved to see it.
You have to, when you read it, you do it. I'm not suggesting you do it, but
it'll just sound like I'm trying to make a gay voice. That's what it sounds like.
Also, it's probably exhausting to do an impression that long.
I can try.
No.
Grotus was formed in November 1989 as a three-piece by guitar victims Fox, Tanner, and Carson. All right, that is tiring.
Yeah.
Intent on doing something different, the trio got some samplers and began to make sample-based music, soundtrack collage, crush rock with a strong political bent. Grotus added a live drummer, Bruce Boyd, in March 91 and quickly gained a strong local following, leading to opening slots for national touring acts, including Nine Inch Nails, Mr. Bungle, check out the episode, Jesus Lizard, check out the episode, and Consolidated.
Never heard of.
The band has since gone their separate ways, but the music still remains. Yeah, they went on tour with Bungle in 92. That's perfect. Exactly kind of when Mike Patton was name dropping them.
Also, grain of salt, there was no source for it on the Wikipedia. Possible hung out in the same circles as Neurosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Neurosis did have a lot of different colors of style of band.
Also, yeah, this because they're in the Bay Area doesn't mean, but maybe they did. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, they are also a heavy music band, Alex.
Neurosis is also a heavy music band, but no one is as awful. Well, a few people are as awful as Scott Kelly. But
there's a lot of people as awful as Scott Kelly, but he is indeed an awful man.
Jesus Christ.
Forties have a cool voice though.
Jeez. Yeah, it still fucking breaks my heart. Anyways.
I know. It's a tough one. One day we'll cover Neurosis and then rip off those band-aids.
I got to.
Yeah.
I got to.
It's healing. It's healing. But yeah, there's not much more backstory than that, but we don't need it because we got the music, baby. So 3 albums, like we said at the top. First one came out in 1991. Last one, 1996. And well, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Hell yes. This is 1991's Brown.
Fast forward it a little bit so y'all can get a taste.
Big long intro.
I was surprised. I wasn't expecting to think about like Sepultura.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the tribal stuff.
Yeah. I think also oddly his voice is more diverse on this album.
Yeah. Such cool vocal harmonies there.
Also, it's rare for me to like love a song instantly. Like I loved this song instantly.
Yeah? Nice. So percussive.
That's probably why I like it.
Yeah. So it's very industrial and tribal.
That one's kind of that one is a little bit misleading because the album is more like their most industrial sounding.
100%.
Yeah.
Super industrial. It's very cool. I had heard this maybe once or twice back in the day. Didn't give it enough time. This is a very cool album. I think it kind of loses steam toward the end quite a bit, but it's pretty fucking rad.
I think in hindsight, like it went by pretty quick for me. I was like, oh, it's over already. But after like listening to everything, I think it's a pretty strong album.
Yeah.
It does almost feel like there's a little more to say and it just ends, which is a weird thing to say about an album.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Morning Glory, but
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. Like I I don't know, like this a little more oomph.
Yeah,
if you will.
it's not. So the Morning Glory is it's a good closer. It feels like a closer, but it's not my favorite song on here. I do like it. The chorus it was like a kind of like a cacophony of horror, and it's very cool.
It's one of the most evil songs on here. I love the like almost like there's chimes clanging together. There's like Native American flutes. It's like they're very good at making these like collages of different sounds that maybe don't belong together on paper, but they make it work. Yeah,
it ends up becoming a really, really busy mix, and a lot of times you can grab onto the riff and it's a very satisfying, cool riff, but a lot of times it's just all the samples together that feel like a song, and it ends up being very sound collagey, but vocals are always melodic. They're always raspy like that for the most part, but it's really rare he's screaming without a melody to it.
I do like how the second track is like
Methuselah.
Yeah, it's a little more minimal for industrial, because when I think of industrial, I think of something like Ministry, where it's just like everything's kind of blown out. That's the sound, right?
Yeah.
And here it's like you can kind of like pick apart each thing, or at least on that song, you can pick apart each thing. Even
though that's a characteristic of industrial overall, Ministry did it really well. Like if you listen to Mine is a Terrible Thing to Taste, like that's one of the best produced albums I think ever, because like, it is industrial and it's big and it's giant and it's so loud, but you can hear every fucking instrument so clearly on that album. It's beautifully produced.
Yeah, it's not like a knock on the sound. It's just like how I think of it.
But Methuselah, it's super dirty, super industrial, tons of samples over these big metallic drums, and man, the Fetus vibes here are pretty prominent. Those power tools, all the power tools.
Yeah.
For a debut album, I found this like it's really developed sound. Like they sound pretty seasoned here.
Yeah, I had to double check because there's like not that much available on streaming. Also, their career is so short.
Yeah,
I was like, they're really the first album.
Yeah, there is one EP that they have that we're not covering, the Luddite EP, but I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah,
maybe one day we'll listen to it. I'm sure we will.
City of the Dead / Las Vegas Power Grid. I like the samples that are probably from a zombie movie, but what I thought was an interesting use of samples to make people talk about something they're not necessarily talking about. I'm sure it's been done, but off the top of my head, I can't really think of too many acts that do it. So like
Melvins did it real well on the Eggnog EP.
Oh yeah. But yeah, they use these things from zombie movies to make it seem like they're talking about Vegas, which it is a zombie city.
That song, really dancey vibe to it. It's almost kind of goofy, but that chorus doubles down on the industrial, produced really well.
Yeah, I like the goofy horn parts. It's kind of like a tip of the hat to maybe like old Vegas.
Yeah.
I like how his vocals go between like sleazy and screaming, because I feel like after this album, I know sleazy and screaming is not like the most dynamic thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like the next two albums, he's got the one thing.
Yeah, there's not a whole bunch of vocal range here, but there's still there's a couple things. Yeah, for what else? There's a big dirty bass on Pharmaceutical with some hilariously dramatic horn samples.
Oh yeah.
It's weird, it's just strange samples, but it feels fucking great. Really mean, really grimy. But like, it's a thing where if you're not paying attention to it, it probably just sounds like machinery with drums.
I think one of the more egregious things is Edward Abbey. It really just sounds like metal scraping on metal.
It sounds like drilling into metal.
It's one of their more abrasive songs.
Definitely. And now, honestly, I find the movie sample stuff on this album to be a little much. They're a little abundant and they go on for a long time. Like there's two tracks that are, City of the Dead and You Fit the Suit. they're like those could have been intros, but they're separate tracks full of pure samples.
Different time.
I guess so. But for Edward Abbey, it still comes in really hard, really with a good driving kick drum, and the vocals kind of steering the whole thing. But it's brutal, and it's ugly is definitely an understatement for that song. But it's still fucking cool.
Yeah, smatter, and then the like fetus thing, like horns on industrial songs.
Yep.
And then those like busy tom drums when they come in.
Best song for me on the album, Daisy Chain.
Oh man, really?
I fucking love that song.
That's another like metal on metal, like scraping.
Dude, for like, there's something, so that it hit me really hard on that song, but I find it about a lot of these songs, there's something supremely satisfying about the way they come in. They have such a cool style with all the samples. There's something really fucking fat and chunky about this particular style that they're doing. But with Daisy Chain, it just has a really fucking grabbing main riff, and it's honestly one of the more melodic things they've ever done. It's not super melodic, but it's really, really hooky, and a good, strong vocal line that really, really sticks in your head.
Yeah. Speaking of melodic, Valhalla's
Celtic Robbie.
That's kind of just like an epic orchestra piece, surprisingly.
Since we're talking about fucking fetus, another connection there. I was not expecting that to be one of the fetus connections, the orchestral stuff, but it's really well done. I thought it was going to be way more like when it comes in.
Could have gone longer.
Oh yeah, a lot of these songs are super short. I mean, that song is not even 3 minutes, but when it comes in, I hear these giant bombastic orchestral sounds, I'm thinking it's going to be a hokey, silly sounding thing, but it's fucking cool.
You think you're listening to Celtic Frost into the pandemonium?
It is pretty silly. It is pretty silly.
It is silly.
So the tracks that lose me a bit are Full Metal Grotus and New York Strip.
I feel like Full Metal Grotus is appropriately titled. It is this industrial sample chaos.
Yep.
It's Full Metal Grotus.
Yep.
As advertised.
For me, it feels like just like a less catchy Ministry, less riffy, just more noisy, really fast drum machine, very, very sample heavy. That one is probably more, you could probably call that more of a sound collage than a song. And then for New York Strip, there is a lot of good samples and textures, but And there's a really cool vocal line and riff at the very end that I like. But as far as that, I don't know. I'm just not that into it. I don't love the vocal choices. The riff itself is kind of sleazy, which I don't love or hate, but it just didn't grab me that much.
New York Strip worked for me because this fairly chaotic album after the opener, and it's this simple boom bap beat, and it's this kind of like allows my brain to recharge, and even though the album's almost over. Yeah.
Speaking of almost over, how do you feel about Rust?
That is like the most noise rock song on here. This clinky, distorted stuff going on, evil carnival music. Fits the band.
I felt like it's like when you're entering a boss fight, it's super heavy and menacing, and it, like you said, the really abrasive guitar line. But they're all over the album, but they're pretty notable there. They're extremely fucking abrasive, and the vocals are a bit cartoony, but they're fun. I think it's pretty good.
Because after this, they don't have any other songs that make me think about noise rock outside of Rust. So
this album, in the grand scheme of it, is quite different.
It's interesting. It's varied. If you're a fan of extreme abrasive music, you can find all these like little genres in there. But if you're a normal person or not a seasoned pro, it may just sound like an industrial album to you.
Yeah, and plus the riffs, they're not all winners. It's not, there's hardly any bad songs on here, but there's only a few moments where we're like, oh fuck, that's really, really cool. It's mostly just like, all right, that's decent. It's mostly decent the whole way while being produced and performed really fucking cool and interesting.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if this band is like a riff band. It's kind of like a vibe band. Like you come for the vibes.
I've learned to I've figured that out at the very end. Yeah, it took me because I mean I neglected most of the discography, so I didn't really put that together. But yeah, there are some killer riffs every now and then.
Yeah,
but it's not like the thing. Tom also noted that he said, "I'll bet I'm not the only one getting Shades of Fetus on this album."
Oh,
yeah, brother, you are not. So engineer David Bryson is a long-term guitarist of Counting Crows, and we did talk about them. I don't remember which episode, but it is a weird one, a weird overlap. The Counting Crows guy, I don't recall. It's also engineered by Damien Rasmussen, and he was involved with Christ on Parade, The Easy Hose, Naked Aggression, very cool band, Buck Naked and the Bare Bottom Boys, The Merman, Blind Illusion, apparently long after Les Claypool and Larry Lalonde left.
He only works with you if you have a crazy name, apparently.
Yeah, Buck Naked and the Bare Bottom Boys.
That's fucking hilarious.
But we have a couple more to talk about. So you ready to move on?
Almost.
All right.
Should have been.
Okay.
I'm ready now.
Hell yes. This is 1993's Slow Motion Apocalypse.
I don't know if we had acoustic drums on the last album.
We did, but they were pretty indistinguishable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's the pious vocals.
Yep. Pious ass vocals.
I got long hair.
Man, who was expecting this chorus?
It's rad. It reminds me of that White Zombie song on it they used in Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, I had that same thought about a different song.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of this album. A little, yeah.
Yep. Those horns are pretty funny.
Dude, that's what I mean by their samples are just so unique.
Yeah, very interesting. What a killer main riff.
Oh, you could strip. I mean, it wouldn't be as memorable or good, but you could like strip all the frilly samples, and it would still work.
Killer riff, and those little samples of that percussion, with fucking timbales or whatever.
Yeah,
sound so cool. Oh, so best personal favorite.
Best personal favorite.
Yeah. It's a no brainer. It's a no brainer. This is the only one that was on rotation when I was younger. I've heard this tons of times, and it is pretty damn cool.
Pretty cool. Pretty fucking unique.
Oh yeah. Like I can't. So where that first album was just industrial city, noisy, clangy. This is groove metal with fucking Eastern elements all over.
And even then, like, yeah, I don't know how to describe this. There's also like stoner metal elements to it. Just a fucking unique heavy music band.
Absolutely. The song that reminds me of the Beavis and Butthead White Zombie song, Sleepwalking. Like
okay. Yeah.
In the intro to it specifically, the intro to both songs.
Yeah.
It's that little
like
the little thing. You know,
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play the thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the thing. Playing the thing. Also, I feel like
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's totally, yeah. And then, that.
Oh,
it's fucking sick. It's
also
super sick.
That's not like a guitar riff. I think most people would be like, "Oh, that's a cool, that's a fucking cool guitar riff, though."
But that's the riff. But what the hell is it? You know, it's just weird little.
It's kind of Tom Morello-esque, if you will.
Yeah, a little bit. So
that's the first time I was like, "Oh, it's kind of funk metal, but not really."
Yeah, because even the song isn't quite that. So what makes this album, I think, super memorable is the first chunk. Like it has such good pacing up top because after the opener, we get the Same Old Sauce, which fucking rules, man. I mean, holy shit. It's more industrial.
Yeah.
It has almost like a dancey beat to it, but it fucking just whoops your ass.
Also, at that point I wasn't exactly sure where this album was going. I was like, okay, the other songs started off kind of desert, Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Is this going to be more industrial? And for the most part, kind of like the same old sauce is like the most industrial thing on the album.
Definitely. And then following that, we get Hourglass, which I will say from my experience, the most memorable song on the album, because I haven't heard this in years and like the whole album in years and years and years. And that's the only song where I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that song.
Interesting.
It's so unbelievably good.
Once that song came in, I love the like big chunky guitars, but I'm like, okay, we're getting like full rich soundscapes. You can tell they had more of a budget for this album. It sounds way better.
Way better. And then
it's just more full.
More full. And that song also has a ton of range. Like there's the riff that comes in for the first time, it comes in around 118. It's like, it's a touch of melody and moodiness. It's not like melodic, but there's a mood to it. There's a feel to it. It's like a darker kind of almost emotional kind of thing, which we get that like 3 times in the entire discography. Like it's just got, it's a good depth for that song. Shiva Yanama brings down the energy quite a bit.
Oh man.
What a cool song.
Yeah. Like the way they blend like this like stoner metal with Middle Eastern yoga music. There's even, I don't know if it's like full blown like Tuvan throat singing or if it's
it's throat singing of some kind. I mean, you can hear him going,
it fucking rules so hard. And it's the way they execute it too that makes them unique.
Yeah, because that one, it alternates between this drony throat singing Italian bowling drums, which I'll never know the name of that instrument, and then alternates between that and this fucking groovy, satisfying, heavy with super cool percussion, really layered percussion, and it alternates between the two a lot. But it's just fucking interesting. It's a really interesting and really musical piece, even though it's kind of abrasive at times. I don't love this album. And the pacing does dip in the middle for me. So Complications is like the only song I don't care for. What do you think of that one?
I think it probably does well. I'm assuming because that one is surprisingly upbeat. So it is a bit of an outlier there. But it eventually comes down on you with heavy ass guitars and like these flanger like robot vocals. I like the closing minutes for that song when it like picks up speed.
Yeah, when it gets faster. It's very noisy and sample heavy. That's my favorite part of the song for sure. But I've always felt it just throws a wrench in the pacing of the album. It's like it's literally the middle song, track 6, and it just kind of disrupts things for me.
Yeah, I think they were like trying to break up Shiva Yanama and Kali Yugo.
Yeah.
This trying to break them up because they are similar sounding songs, but
very heavy Eastern sounds on both those.
Yeah. I would say the difference is Kali's a little more upbeat. Probably heavier too. Like I noticed the difference, but I'm a weirdo. So
it's a cool song. I don't like it quite as much as Shiva Yanama, but I think it might be a lot of it because the vocals are he's just sort of doing the same thing quite a bit at that point because he doesn't change much on this album. He's just sort of wailing with gravel.
He's got the John Garcia vocals down.
Yeah, and I like his voice, his tone, his rasp. I like it better than John's from Caius, but I pretty much like what he's doing about as much. So not that much. I like what he's doing on this album a lot more, but
it is
as a whole.
Is this the rock guy vocals?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the rock guy vocals. I
think there is something I forgot to mention. There is like this chaotic, uneasy nature to this album that I really like. And I think Clean comes in and it's a little more groovier than the other things.
It comes in oddly sensual. In a gritty and heavy way, but weirdly sensual. Yeah, it's got a lot of the vocals are drowned in a lot of reverb.
it's still surreal. It's not like an outlier the way Complications is, but this is something a little different.
And then when Sleepwalking comes on, the album kicks back into just ruling so hard. That song is fucking great. It's such a cool song. There's like they're still really heavy on the Eastern percussion there, but there's such a on those sections with like the Eastern percussion, they have such a cool and unusual faint melody. It's a really subtle melody, but it's odd. I don't even know what, because I wouldn't even call it like an Eastern type of. It's just a very unusual creative melody.
I think when you have all these like cool, unique samples going on too, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what's going on and what you're hearing.
You can't put it in a part of the world or a time. It's just so odd, but it's not ugly. It's pretty, but it's odd. Medicine is another one of the best songs on the album.
I agree with that. It fucking rules. It's like these tingy electronics to open up. And then there's like these frantic guitar lines, equally frantic drumming. It's just like controlled chaos.
Yeah, and it really, along with Same Old Sauce, definitely the most industrial sounding thing on the record. But there's something really punishing about the drum choices on this one. They fucking, you feel them like they're like he's hitting you with the drumstick.
I think it's so weird how acoustic drums are just like way more powerful than electric. I mean, I've heard dirty, powerful, industrial like electronic drums, but I don't know, man. Something about acoustic drums.
I don't know what it's like. The only acoustic instrument that will whoops the ass of any kind of other. Like, I mean, there's something about a crack of a good giant fat snare.
Oh, dude, Dale snare flams are just dream of those.
Oh, amazing. The title track is their most experimental song period ever.
Yeah, it's also over pretty quick. It's just these surreal soundscapes. There's these sounds that kind of sound like a dial-up modem. I'm sure it's not, but
it's the most sample heavy thing. It's very psychedelic, very moody, but I think it's pretty effective, and it's even a bit musical in some spots. It's got like a pulsating murder bass synth holding everything together. It's not, I wouldn't call it a satisfying closer, but it's well done for what it is.
Yeah, this works for me as like a little like this tucks you into bed.
Yeah, tucked in by Grotus. There's a hidden track, and it's a remix of Brown,
which makes sense because Brown is kind of an outlier on that album, and it oddly fits better on this album.
Well, the thing is, I kept forgetting how it sounded in relation to it until you put it on. It's the first song of the first album. It is massively different.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's a completely different song, because I've heard this version so many more times that this is the version that always comes to mind. This fits on the album very well. And it's basically a transformed song. It's got really tangible, chunky riffs here, and pretty good riffs. I think it's pretty solid. I might still prefer the original just because of the brutality of the original, but it's still very good.
Yeah, it's interesting because I love the song. It worked to like come with us on this journey, but again, this fits better on this album.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it, I think I do like this version better, but it is quite good. But yeah, this album is pretty solid. Both of our best and personal favorites. It's a solid fucking album. If you're interested in heavy music and heavy music bands, this is where you go.
Yeah, and if you're like me and you like your heavy and your psychedelia and your Middle Eastern halls,
especially Indian sound. Like,
also, like, I think on the off chance any hip hop heads are listening to this, like these guys really interesting the way they use samples. I think like inspiring like producers, DJs could like learn a thing or two from.
Oh, aspiring, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're creating songs with the samples, out of the samples, not implementing samples in the song. It's like, making sound effects musical.
Yes,
in a way. But We got one more album, and if you're good at deductive reasoning, you know how we feel about this album.
Mm-hmm.
So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yeah. Last album, 1996's Mass. Hey, Cricket 1. This album is not streaming.
A little more of a straightforward rock and roll song.
Yeah. Pretty grimy, ugly main riff, though.
Oh, I dig it. As
Yeah, me too.
Almost helmet-like.
Yeah. Didn't even think of that.
I don't listen to Helmet all the time, but when I need to describe something, they're always...
They were a defining band.
They did the one thing really fucking good.
Better than everyone.
Yeah. Definitely sounds like they're maybe trying to appease some people at the record label here.
Perhaps you'll notice that there's not really any Eastern elements. It's a cool main riff, a very, very crunchy main riff. A lot of 90s-ness to it, but it's still a cool main riff. So, say it.
Worsley's favorite.
Worsley's favorite, and one of the most bizarre nosedives in a discography that I've heard in a long time.
I almost don't want to call it a no. It's nothing terribly offensive, and I wasn't terribly bored until the last 3 tracks.
Really?
Like, it's clearly not as good as the first 2.
Clearly, I would call this a bad album that I didn't like at all, and I was blown away at how bad it was so quickly.
It's probably, like, for me, it's probably just an okay album, but I think I could, like, come around to certain songs on here.
I can come around to 3. No, 4. I can come around 2.5, 3.5. The opener, that's Entertainment, which is pretty solid.
We got DJ scratches now.
I'll get to those. A Bad Itch, the following track, which I think is the best song on the album.
That's when I heard, like, before you, like, told me, I was like, this kind of sounds like Patton-esque. I wonder.
Patton-esque. Yeah, it is Patton-esque. It reminded me of Primus, not in the sense that it sounds like Primus, but it has a fat bass sound production wise, and the distortion tone, the type of distortion he's using really sounds like Larry Lalonde's.
I also like the noise samples. Reminded me of, like, how Public Enemy would always find, like, these screeching.
Yeah, interesting. It's got a really interesting the chorus to it. I appreciate the chorus to it a lot because it's most of these songs, even on the other albums, the choruses really feel like they're part, like, you know where it's going to go. You know, it fits in with it. It's the same vibe, same style. The chorus to there takes a shift, a melodic shift. It changes keys. It's a very well done chorus, but that song rules. And then the closer, Back in the Day, which is the moodiest thing in the album. I do like that one as well.
Yeah, I was kind of burnt out there. I just felt like by the time Collect 'Em All comes on, they just kind of ran out of gas more so than on other songs.
So you say you ran out of gas at Collect 'Em All. I was worried at White Trash Blues, and it only got worse from there for me.
White Trash Blues is not great on paper. I kind of, like, I get what they're trying to do. It just doesn't, like, it doesn't work. I don't like, it's these country guitars blended in with some Grotus, like some Grotus sounds. It's a little goofy, and yeah, it doesn't really work for me. It's
a little goofy. It feels especially 90s. The vocal styles that he's doing there really contribute to that a lot. But there's one, like, riff toward the end that's like, all right, it's fine. It's like, okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it the way I did on, like the second listen to help. I liked it more, but I still don't love it. But then Ebola Reston comes on, and I am fucking out completely. I'm done. It's almost Blade nightclub music.
Love it.
Shut the fuck up. Come on, man.
That sound played out in the 90s. However,
yes,
in 2024, people don't really use sounds like that.
No, they don't.
I love Blade nightclub music. That song gave me a false sense of what I thought techno music was going to be. Nothing is as cool as that Blade song. And so, yeah, I love this. I love The Prodigy. So I think Ebola I would have preferred them go like full Prodigy, honestly.
At this point, even though I hate that song, yes, because some of the stuff that they're doing here, what this album, so this album offended me in many ways. The main reason is it's basically tackling every 90s trope. So we have the Blade stuff, the techno stuff there, and then we get fucking hand to mouth, which enrages me because it's that super twangy Southern acoustic slide guitar, but with a hip hop drum beat, a la Sublime, which I fucking anything that but kind of gives me that a hint of that makes me nauseous because when I hear that combo, I don't think of Southern twang. I think of LA dirtbags. That's because
or like a Kid Rock like song. And yes, hand to foot. I am afraid
hand to mouth or little Freudian slip there.
You know, maybe I've been listening to Idols when he says cheek to hip, and my anatomy is this all messed up. Cheek to hip. Man, that album's good. That album's
real good.
If you haven't listened to Tank yet,
you should listen to that
album. So yeah, we have ventured into new metal territory with that song, and I get what you're saying because I think the only person I've heard blend like country elements and hip hop and made it work in a way that didn't make me cringe was Atmosphere.
On what specifically? If you can cite it,
I think it was off of if God gives you lemons, you got to paint them shits gold.
Paint that shit gold. What really
was it?
Southern? Because that one, I just think of that fucking piano on that one. So much piano on that one.
I think it was like the song where you think he's talking about a girl.
Yeah, Yesterday. That's a pretty famous one. That's the first Atmosphere song I heard.
But he's talking about his dad.
Yeah.
Was he?
Ding 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 ding. Ding.
It's not that. I don't know. Whatever.
Anyway,
I'll find it down the line and send it to you. When I find it.
But so that song scratches one little thing that we have to address now. There are turntables now, and I personally have gone on record not a huge fan of the turntable sound unless it's in hip hop.
I like him in trip hop. I guess I'll go as far to say I like him in Slipknot songs, some Slipknot song, but even Slipknot was like, we can't do this anymore, guys.
I'm glad.
I'm glad too. Slipknot is a strange band, not because of the shallow things the mask and all that, but anyways, I don't feel like they use like the DJ scratches in like an overbearing way.
No,
they're kind of there. I can see how this band that uses these rich textures and samples would think at the time that it was a good idea. And for me, it's not like a miss either. It's just doesn't do anything. It doesn't add anything. I
don't love the texture because for one, it's a sound that doesn't do anything musically. It's just a sound effect pretty much. So that's how I feel about random reference, but 13th Floor Elevators, the electric jug.
Hell yeah.
There's no music. It's just a sound effect. He's playing he's playing it, but it's just one sound. He's not doing anything different. It sounds exactly. It sounds the same on every song. That's what record scratches are to me. It's like it's a nothing sound effect. So unless they're doing it to make the song do a thing like they do with a lot of samples, then I'm can do without it. But
what if I told you for a quick second, I was going to DJ school and they taught me how to count scratches.
I don't even know what that means.
Like musically, like quarter note scratches, 16th note scratches.
It's still just sound effects, just rhythmically.
Damn, DJs hear that? Mike hates you.
I don't hate you.
I'm just being an asshole.
It's just percussion at that point.
It is percussion.
Exactly. But it's just a percussive sound I don't love. It's just, I don't love it.
Because of this conversation, I kind of want to cover somebody now, just to get your 2 cents on it.
Oh shit.
I'm not going to say it on air because I don't want people being like, yeah, fucking do it. But
Okay. Tain't nobody's business if I do. Sounds like the band War put through a giant fuzz pedal at first. Now I got the dyslexia. Fuzz pedal at first. At that point, I realized that they're just doing things I don't like now. It's not even that they're a bad band. It's just they're doing things I never have any interest in.
I just thought it was kind of a fun instrumental. Again, a lot of this stuff I just threw under no harm, no foul.
So
I'm surprised it's 4 minutes. I didn't realize that when I thought it was shorter.
A lot of these songs dragged on for me, so I couldn't comment. But the thing that they do on this album that really makes it wear on me, they're just leaning into the hip hop drums now. And it's not that there's any problem with those types of drums. It's that it's on every fucking song pretty much. Like, do any beat on every fucking song and I'm going to get bored of it.
So once collect them
all.
No, that one's this okay. I don't hate it. It's kind of like doing the alt metal thing, but once Wild Bill comes on, bottom line, and back in the day, like it's just Sepultura light.
Oh man, yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I don't think Wild Bill's a great song, but I would call it one of the better songs if I had to.
Yeah,
it'd be like 4th place if I was doing that.
I was also trying to work in so I could say that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. But
hell yeah,
I'm dying.
The bottom line, I do not enjoy that. I find it to be corny and unfortunate. It might be my least favorite song on the album.
It kind of started off promising. I thought maybe we'd get a taste of slow motion apocalypse type things, but I think even if they did that, it'd be boring because then it's like, oh, you're just going to your safe space.
Yeah, but it does have like a full on hip hop drum machine, and then the record scratches are pretty egregious on there. I don't know. It bummed me out, man. Like, these riffs are so lacking. Like Sick, for example, is just like a knockoff Grotus song. It feels like it's almost like it's trying to go back a little bit to the more brutal style.
Yeah,
but it's just the main riff just stinks.
I thought that one was gonna do something weird because it opens up with old time piano. But again, this Sepultura light.
Man, if it was more metal like Sepultura, I would probably enjoy it more, but this is just a lot of 90s shit.
I want Ebola Rest in the album.
Shit. But in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing an episode and we're going to be referencing this next person a lot.
How?
Because Bruce Boyd, drummer, played on 2004's eponymous Bridget the Midget and Blackout album, fronted by Bridget Powers, aka Bridget the Midget.
How did we talk about this woman twice?
I don't know.
Never in a million years. Hey, want to start a music podcast? You will be referencing Bridget the Midget a minimum of 2 times.
Within 1 month, you're going to be... Stay tuned for that episode. You guys need to see that episode.
Yes.
You're not going to recognize it, but you need to watch it.
Please listen. Jesus Christ, my brain's already fucking broken and tired, and you throw this shit at me.
He's also apparently a metal director and DJ at KZMU at Moab in Utah. John Carson co-produced Middle Finger by the Sleeping Giants, a dance track apparently. According to Wiki, he had a band called TV616 till he disbanded in 2006. And Lars Fox, vocalist, is a Grammy-nominated music editor, apparently.
Wasn't expecting that.
Nor was I. And Tom has a game for us. He says, but for what, you might ask? Let's play a game. Here's a small sample from his gigantic list of credits. Guess which one got nominated. Now, I know the answer because I clicked on it.
Mm-hmm.
But here are the nominees.
Okay.
Negativland, Everclear, Hanson, Stevie Nicks, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Kelly Clarkson, Lindsay Lohan, Liz Phair, My Chemical Romance, Take That, Backstreet Boys, Bon Jovi, Jason Mraz, Morrissey, or Hootie and the Blowfish.
Well, I can scratch off a lot of things.
You could scratch off Negativland, that's for sure.
I'm going to scratch off Nick Cave and Morrissey.
And
then the rest, we got, man, there's some like big, like popular acts when they were around. I am leaning towards Hanson or my boy Hootie and the Blowfish.
Okay.
Those are I know I should only pick one, but I'm picking two.
And the answer is Jason Mraz. Yeah.
That felt too easy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get it either.
Yeah. That's not, it's surprising
that he's a part of it,
but not surprising
that it won a Grammy.
Some shit like that won a Grammy.
Yeah, definitely. Adam Tanner.
This looks like a real estate agent.
He looks like a real estate agent. And what the hell is he doing now? I think he's just playing bluegrass mandolin.
Good.
He teaches privately in old time fiddle. Whoa. Holy crap.
What a weird, random, awesome job to have.
Yeah, he teaches in early bluegrass mandolin.
This guy fucking rules.
Yeah, he teaches students of all ages and skill. Like he's like a music teacher with all these random ass old timey. That's very interesting.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. But can you wear like overalls in your picture so I know what you teach?
Yeah, he's
Can you put some like straw in your
chew on some wheat and play the jug, acoustic jug.
Or electrical jug.
And I prefer the acoustic, honestly. This is like it's more than the fucking electric jug.
You know what? I think he could figure it out. I think he could figure out the electric jug in a way that would be appealing to your ears.
He would shred on the electric jug.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But let's do a little recap.
Best personal favorite, Slow Motion Apocalypse, a heavy music jam. If you like weird and psychedelia things, give it a listen. Worst, least favorite, Mass. Kind of sounds like maybe the label was pulling them in a direction they didn't want to go, or maybe they were this lost in the 90s.
Maybe.
Also, Blade club music rules.
I don't agree about that last statement, but I agree about everything else. Those are my picks as well.
Mike said he likes Blood Dance from Blade. It's his favorite song ever. He puts it on right after the Mortal Kombat song.
I don't do that. Don't do that. I don't do that in that order.
He puts on the Mortal Kombat song first.
It's a great movie. What can I say? I love that movie.
Then he puts on Firestarter from Prodigy, and then he puts on Blood Dance.
Listen, bangers are bangers. God damn it. But thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging out.
I don't even. Oh, did you just say same? I think I just distracted you and you didn't even say.
Yeah, same.
Okay, sorry. I'm out.
So thanks so much for listening and watching and hanging out. Like the video if you like it. Tell us why we're idiots in the comments, or tell us why we're not idiots. That's better. Subscribe. Blah 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 blah.
Tell Mike why Blood Dance is the greatest song ever in the comments.
Please give me your best argument if you want. You can follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram at
blooddance.org.
Blooddance.org.
Every album, Alex.
And please follow our history guy, Tom Osman, at Tom Osman Sounds on all social media, as well as TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music and whatever comes next, his podcast, which you can find on Spotify. He's recently got on Spotify. I don't know if he's on the other platforms as of now, but he's got the full fucking podcast on Spotify. Interviews a bunch of cool musicians.
It'd be really cool if you could interview the guy who made Blood Dance.
That'd be pretty cool. I don't know what else he'd talk about after that. That'd be cool. A cool first 5 minutes.
That's all you need to talk about.
Probably.
I'll start a whole podcast just about Blade.
Well, the new one did get canceled, so
no, it's just in production hell. I don't know how people just want to see Mahershala Ali kill vampires. Yeah. What are we doing here? It's not complicated.
It's what we all want.
It's what we literally all want.
Yes. But yeah, he interviews a bunch of cool musicians. Go to his Substack as well. It's TomOsman.substack.com. Cool stuff. And Yeah, Patreon, baby. Patreon.com/everyalbumever. That's where you go. Bonus episodes. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You could join our Discord and be a part of our community. Everyone's cool there. We're all giant fucking nerds. You can also suggest EAE singles episodes. So if an album came out this year and you want to hear us talk about it, go there, suggest it. If you're tier 2,
someone recommend the Blade 1 soundtrack.
That did not come out this year, Alex. That is not a candidate.
Oh, but for the bonus.
For the bonus, if you're tier 2, you can suggest a full discography for us to cover on our longer numbered episodes, as well as any album from any discography for us to cover on Patreon bonus episodes.
Including the Blade 1 soundtrack.
Including the Blade 1 soundtrack. So go there, do that, please and thank you. Now. What are we ending it with?
I mean, you're familiar with the band.
Oh.
I trust you. I would feel wrong picking this song. I know you're gonna do the right choice.
We got to do Hourglass, baby.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So thank you so much for listening and watching. See ya.